Good afternoon, everyone, and thanks for the introduction, David. So Killi listed on the ASX February last year, and we're trading under the code KLI. We're focused on greenfields discoveries in known major mineral provinces in Australia. We floated on the back of 4 wholly owned exploration projects based in WA and Queensland, and we're exploring for gold, rare earths and copper in the Tanami region of WA, as well as epithermal and porphyry systems, gold-copper porphyry systems in northern Queensland. So we raised $6 million on the back of these projects, and we've been on the ground completing field work in the last 12 months. We completed work at Tanami, which is no small feat, and Ravenswood North projects last year, and we completed drilling on 2 of our projects. Both these projects are both belt scale. They have the ability for a significant discovery of scale, and they're in new frontiers. So there's not many new frontiers still in Australia. A lot of things have been explored, but we consider the Tanami to be one of these places. It's extremely remote and it's hard to get to. So we're committed to new mineral discoveries for critical metals and minerals, and we're completing aggressive exploration programs using techniques and methods based in practical science. Disclaimer you can read in your own time. It's our corporate overview. Our board and management are on the left there. You might recognise some of the faces. Richard Bevan was the founding director of Cassini Resources, and Greg Miles and Philip Warren were also founding directors of Cassini. I myself am the CEO of Killi, and I'm an exploration geologist. I have 16 years' experience dominantly in the resource industry in WA. The corporate structure is really tight. We've only got 52 million shares on issue, and the top 20 hold about just under 44% of the company. Oh, actually, go back. That's me in the background there, sitting having a bit of a moment in the Tanami after mapping for the day. What's not really understood by a lot of people is how remote this place is. Where I'm sitting there is at our Fox prospect. It's 55 k's from the Tanami Highway, which may be one of the most remote highways in the country. It takes us 3.5 hours to drive 55 k's, and we've got to drive 8 hours to get phone reception. So, in my opinion, because it's this remote, is why it's still in its infancy for exploration, and why it still is in its initial phases. There's still parts of exploration that you would think would have been done by this point, because everyone knows about the Tanami. That's not true. So this is our project portfolio. We have 4 projects, 2 in WA and 2 in Queensland. All projects have granted tenure and are 100% owned by the company. The projects were all originally acquired due to their gold potential. They're in well-endowed mineral systems, gold terrains. However, with most provinces, they're not just prospective for one commodity. Their projects are also prospective for copper, and we have surface mineralisation of copper on all 4 assets. Copper's now got a lot of uses, specifically critical minerals and metals needed for lithium-ion batteries. In a single lithium-ion battery, you need 20 kilograms of copper, which is just under 11% of the total metal needed in a lithium-ion battery. That's not a small amount. We need to find some more copper deposits. In the West Tanami, the project's prospective for rare earths and gold, and we're only 55 kilometres from one of the 3 producing rare earth projects in the country. There's 17 rare earth elements that are needed for a variety of high-tech products, and most recently it's been highlighted as important for the production of powerful magnets that are used in wind turbines and hybrid vehicles. I'm going to focus on the 2 projects we got on the ground this year, and we're exploring for rare earths and copper. So the West Tanami. We've got 1,600 square kilometres of tenure of the Tanami Belt in WA on the WA side of the NT border. The project was acquired due to its close proximity to the Killi gold mine, which is only 125 k's away along strike. And the geological belt is cut in half by the WA-NT border, where on the Northern Territory side you've got 18 million ounces of gold endowment, and you've only got 650,000 ounces of gold on the WA side. This isn't because one side's got more than the other. This is because it's of the remote location within WA. You've got to travel 200 kilometres south of Halls Creek to get out to the project. There's currently only 3 operating rare earth mines in Australia. All of them are in WA, which is Mount Weld, Eneabba and Browns Range. Browns Range is within 50 k's of our tenement boundary and has a current resource of 9 million tonnes of total rare earth oxides. Also to the east of the project, only 13 k's away, there's surface rare earths in rock chips. There's about plus 12.5% total rare earths, and that structure that's on actually propagates into Killi tenure along strike. The style of mineralisation for gold and rare earths in this neck of the woods is hydrothermal, and so therefore gold and rare earths form in the same setting. We're able to explore for both styles of mineralisation, both commodities, in the same drill programs, which is pretty exciting and a good use of funds. When it comes to the Tanami, you need to consider the opportunity here. There's 20,000 square kilometres of belt, prospective belt, and there's only 10 companies operating. We all own about 10% of the belt. That's a really big opportunity. If you took that same package of ground into the Kalgoorlie-Kambalda area, took 20,000 k's, you're going to have plus 300 companies fighting over each other for the same piece of land. So since the company floated, and within the first 10 months of operation, the company completed an aggressive exploration program, our first field season at the West Tanami project. This is the first round of field work on the project in over 20 years and required the company to complete heritage surveys to get on the ground. Surface recon was completed, we collected rock chips, soil samples, completed 10,000 metres of air core drilling, regional first pass air core drilling, and a really deep stratigraphic hole down to about 900 metres. We did that in conjunction with the Geological Survey as part of their EAS-funded grant. And we also flew 1,000 square kilometres of airborne magnetic radiometrics. Close-spaced, low-flown, 50 metres apart. You'd think that would have already been completed in the Tanami, but it hasn't. So with the gold opportunity, our field season was extremely successful. We identified 95 kilometres of potential rare earth strike, 100 k's of gold strike, and the mineralising structure from the Killi gold mine 120 k's away, we found that actually is interpreted to cross over our tenure in the north. We also determined that the rocks that Killi has, the Dead Bullock Formation, that is also on our ground at Fox. And Killi was found on a 50 ppb gold anomaly in a bottom of hole around 12 metres depth, just under alluvial cover. Our air core program produced the same results. Our air core results at Fox and Diva identified the same structures just below alluvial cover, a couple of metres at 100 ppb gold. So this is really encouraging for us, and we will continue to follow this up. The rare earths, the soil program we also completed at Fox identified 3 yttrium anomalies. If you know anything about yttrium, it only occurs with rare earths. It has to be there, it won't occur by itself. It was associated with neodymium, dysprosium, terbium, europium and gadolinium. The gold and rare earth targets generated at Fox occurred within structurally complex geological zones at the contact between the granite with the sediments. This was a really, really interesting outcome for our stratigraphic diamond hole. We intersected at Fox a zone of a mafic unit with visible copper mineralisation and abundant massive pyrrhotite. You can see it there on the core. The purpose of this hole was to determine the rocks in which we're in and the geological sequence we're located within to ascertain potential prospectivity of the rocks and major structures to follow. Multiple mafic units were intersected down hole, and the largest being a 70-metre wide zone of gabbro-dolerite. Within the mafic, there was a 10-metre zone of disseminated sulphides, or significantly mineralised sulphides. It graded from disseminated to semi-massive to massive, and if I go back to that photo, there you go, it's dominantly pyrrhotite and chalcopyrite. That doesn't get there by itself. This morning we released the assay results from this diamond intercept from the core, which returned 4.2 metres at 728 ppm copper, 58 ppm cobalt and 0.46 grams per tonne silver. The massive sulphide unit returned 0.27% copper, 114 ppm cobalt and over 1.5 grams of silver. So these results align with a magmatic sulphide system prospective for nickel, copper, cobalt. Sulphide deposits can either be magmatic or lateritic, with the majority of them in Australia being magmatic, and found generally within Archean rocks of the eastern goldfields. So in Western Australia, recently, there's been 3 magmatic sulphide discoveries within Proterozoic rocks, or provinces just like the Tanami. They are the Albany-Fraser origin, which hosts the Nova-Bollinger nickel-copper-cobalt deposit, the Musgrave province, which has the Nebo-Babel nickel-copper project, and the Kimberley Craton, which has the Savannah nickel-copper-cobalt deposit. So rocks of the West Tanami project were formed during the same period and are prospective for the same minerals. Based on these results, in the coming field season, we plan to conduct geophysical surveys, which will be EM or gravity. We also have data from historical work done by Barrick, which is heliborne, low-flown EM, which we plan on reprocessing. And if we're able to generate plates from that, that will give us drive up and drill targets for copper and potentially nickel. That's the overview slide there. It shows the intercept that we hit in the diamond hole in the gabbro dolerite down the bottom. It's at depth, however, this is a stratigraphic hole. We weren't targeting it. We have just intercepted that within the dolerite, so we know they're now mineralised for copper. The overview slide there of Australia shows the Proterozoic zones in grey and our project sitting up in the north in the Killi West Tanami project. Let's move it over to Queensland. This is the second project we're able to get on the ground and complete multiple exploration campaigns during 2022. The Ravenswood North project is located in Queensland, 60 k's inland from Townsville, within the significantly endowed Charters Towers and Ravenswood district. Within 60 k's of the project, you've got total gold endowment of 28 million ounces of gold, which is not a small number. These systems are enormous, these gold systems are enormous, and they're what is referred to as an intrusive gold system or an IRG. So that's what we're looking for, and that's what our projects have been based on. Our field program's focused on the Ravenswood corridor, where we followed up 2 rock chip samples, which were anomalous in gold and silver, and the soil program generated a 1.5 kilometre squared copper, gold, silver, moly anomaly. We then collected further rock chip samples and extended the strike to 4 kilometres, and that returned really high-grade silver results, including 0.5% copper. So the style of signature is exactly what we're looking for with an IRG. On the right is a diagram of the IRG systems in northern Queensland, and within 60 k's of the project are highlighted in red. And they vary from a couple of 100,000 ounces of gold to 5 million ounces of gold. I'm going to skip over that to this one. So we did get out on the ground at the end of last year in December, so we tested that geochemical target. It's a 1.5 k squared geochem target. We drilled 5 holes of our initial 10-hole program before the wets came in, and we released the results only a couple of weeks ago. We released the results in conjunction with our geophysical processing results. What it showed us is that the 5 holes we drilled here are sitting on the edge of 2 intrusive units within the alteration halo of a fairly large system, 3.5 k's by 2.5 k's. That red splodge all around there is alteration. It represents the heat and the fluids that have moved through with these intrusives. So we're heading back out there in the next couple of weeks, and we will be moving those rigs to drill those low targets there. Okay, great.
Last slide.
Okay, one last slide. This is what we've got coming up. We've still got results coming out from our West Tanami project from some of the air core results. We plan on to continue working through the geophysics that we've got over on the Queensland assets, looking for copper, gold, porphyry systems. I didn't get time to talk about our West Branch copper porphyry target that we've got, but that looks really exciting, and we'll be working through those projects. And that's it.
Thank you very much.